With several closed restaurants, rapidly declining reviews, and the slowest growth on Instagram in over 6 years, it is evident that things have taken a considerable downturn for Salt Bae. This situation becomes even clearer when we examine in detail the years leading up to this unfavorable point. The first time he got into trouble was a few months ago, shortly after Salt Bae became viral. Fans, upon returning to his Instagram, were met with a photo of him celebrating the life of Fidel Castro in the days following his death. Coincidentally, around the same time, Salt Bae was opening a steakhouse in Miami, a city to which approximately 500,000 Cubans had fled due to Fidel's leadership. Many did not understand why he would post such a photo and open a restaurant in Miami, questioning the choice instead of opening in Cuba. Comments on the post clearly reflected this perplexity, leading him to remove the publication. Less than a year later, in September 2018, Salt Bae found himself in trouble again by hosting a banquet for Venezuelan President Nicolas Maduro. This gesture triggered protests outside Salt Bae's restaurant in Miami, with signs expressing outrage that the president enjoyed a meal while the Venezuelan people suffered from hunger and significant weight loss. After the Venezuelan president claimed that Salt Bae had personally invited him, the protests intensified. However, this was not the only controversial incident. Just 8 days after the protests, an article reported an incident at Salt Bae's restaurant in Istanbul, titled "4 Tourists Set Ablaze at Instagram Star Salt Bae's Restaurant in Istanbul." This happened due to a fireworks show gone wrong at his restaurant, resulting in severe burns for a Slovakian YouTuber and model named Tina Trinkova. She suffered burns on over 35% of her body and, to this day, has visible scars on her Instagram. A year after the incident, an article revealed that Tinus did not receive compensation for the mistake, and the restaurant destroyed all evidence related to the incident. Eventually, Salt Bae paid $230,000 in compensation, but not to the model, whose appearance was permanently altered. Instead, the payment was allocated to 4 employees who claimed mistreatment. The situation escalated when these employees revealed that Salt Bae was appropriating 3% of all tips. Faced with this revelation, Salt Bae fired the 4 employees, triggering a wrongful dismissal lawsuit. They claimed that the former boss had an authoritarian attitude, likening himself to Tony Montana, and humiliated them on various occasions, disregarding local laws. However, in the lawsuit, Salt Bae himself responded, refuting the allegations. He stated, "I never took any part of the employees' tips. I have never done that in any of my restaurants. I was simply not satisfied with the performance of the 4 employees. They did not meet my work standard, so I terminated their contracts immediately." These 4 employees were not the only ones to allege mistreatment while working for the chef. A former employee of the Nusri Tea restaurant in London described him as attractive on the outside but problematic on the inside. Another compared the work environment to the Hunger Games, as employees never knew if they would be fired during their shifts, and a third employee likened him to a dictator. Frank Defano, a former employee, claimed to have been mistreated for being American, while another former manager explained that Salt Bae's world was only Instagram and fame, and he thought of himself as the sensation of the moment with so many photos and videos showcasing himself on his Instagram. The chef faces a significant issue on social media, with a flood of haters, especially when he is working out shirtless. It seems that Salt Bae is a bit too full of himself. While a certain degree of ego is necessary for success, he takes it to a completely disproportionate level. In an interview with Tea Times magazine in 2019, Salt Bae seemed convinced that every child wants to be like him, stating, "Now everyone wants to be a butcher because of me. If you ask a child, they want to be Salt Bae. They see me as an idol. I am an inspiration to many people in a very short period." He always seizes any opportunity to flaunt a lot of money and also to assert himself, says the journalist who interviewed him. Many people who have eaten at his restaurant have expressed doubts about the quality of the food, and these comments have started to come from numerous different individuals. The YouTube channel Guga Foods ordered a $2,000 steak and commented that it was not what they expected for $2,000. They stated that the T-bone steak was very small and had been cooked incorrectly. It was rare, even though they had ordered it medium. There's nothing wrong with a rare steak, but if you order it medium, you should get what you asked for. Another YouTuber, UAEATS, whose goal is to provide a purely objective analysis, stated that the waiter's performance was entertaining, but the food quality did not stand out more than any other steakhouse. Salt Bae's restaurant in London is ranked 15,200 out of 15,700 restaurants, with a score of 2.5 stars, making it worse than 96.8% of all other restaurants in the city. Reviews for the steakhouse are predominantly negative, with most customers complaining about terrible quality, poor service, and an incredibly high price for such poor food quality. One customer was upset to be charged £44 for 4 cans of Red Bull, but at least they didn't call the police, unlike what happened in Florida. While at Salt Bae Steakhouse in Miami, Dwayne Miranda ordered 2 standard 275 tomahawk steaks but unknowingly received 2 gold tomahawk steaks, being charged over $5,000 for his meal. When he questioned the bill, the management insisted that they had ordered the gold option, which he denied. The situation escalated to involve local authorities, and in the end, they ended up paying the contested bill of $5,000 to avoid further conflicts. However, these incidents were minor compared to what happened at Salt Bae's Steakhouse in Boston, shortly after its opening in September 2020. The restaurant began accumulating health code violations, with city inspectors reporting that COVID-19 safety guidelines were being disregarded. Crowds were not practicing social distancing, emergency exits were blocked, fire extinguishers were not in order, the dishwasher was not heating enough, and the refrigerators were apparently too cold. The government closed the restaurant just 1 week after its opening. Meanwhile, Salt Bae posted a seemingly pleasant family photo on his Instagram, which also received a lot of criticism. Salt Bae faced many criticisms in various situations, whether deserved or not. And as the saying goes, nothing is so bad that it can't get worse. So, he did something deplorable in December 2022, causing the entire world to turn against him. After Argentina won the World Cup final against France, Salt Bae entered the field and performed actions that angered many people. He bothered Messi for a photo, took the World Cup trophy from a baby, and bit one of the winner's medals. This sparked a flood of negative comments and media criticism, with reports that he was pathetically thirsty for selfies at the World Cup and had annoyed Argentina. FIFA even launched an investigation into how he was allowed to enter the field, revealing that only World Cup winners and heads of state were allowed to touch the trophy during the closing ceremony, let alone kiss and disrespect it. Salt Bae's popularity is plummeting every day, causing his restaurants, which once had constantly sold out reservations, to now have less than half of the bookings filled. What is your opinion? Leave your comments here if you have ever eaten at a Salt Bae restaurant and what your thoughts are on the food served there.